Hi everyone, I'm Cheryl. In this problem, we're given a position function and a point, and we're going to be finding out a lot of different information about that position function and the object as it moves along that particular curve. So let's go ahead and take a look at my original position function. The first thing that I'm asked for is the velocity function. So v of t is going to be r prime of t, which is simply 3 times vector I plus vector j, taking the derivative of each of the individual components. Okay, the next thing to find out is the speed. The speed is the norm of my velocity vector. So to find that, we take the square root of the square of each of the components. So that's going to be 3 squared plus 1 squared. So for the speed, we have the square root of 10. Okay, the next thing that we're asked for is the acceleration. And the acceleration, we know, is the derivative of the velocity. We've already calculated the velocity, and notice that the components of my velocity vector are both constants. So the acceleration is the 0 vector. Okay, now the next thing that we're asked for is what's the velocity at the point 0, and also what's the acceleration at the point 3, 0. Well, notice that for my velocity and my acceleration function, I'm using the parameter t. So I need to figure out what is my parameter t when I'm at the point 3, 0. Well, taking a look at my original function, I know that 3t, which is the x component, has to equal 3. And t minus 1, which is the y component, has to equal 0. And in this case, that leads me to t being equal to 1. So the velocity when t equals 1 is simply going to be 3I plus j. And the acceleration when t equals 1 is still just the 0 vector. Okay, one last thing we need to do. We want to look at this from a graphical perspective. So the next question that's asked of us is to actually graph that position function. Well, if you take a look at this position function, I notice that my graph is going to be a line. And I know that it's going to go through the point 0, negative 1, because those are my constants. So let's go ahead and plot 0, negative 1 on my graph. And I also notice, because my position function is a 3ti and a tj, that it's going to have a slope of 1/3. So I'll move up 1 and to the right 3. That puts me on that point. And I can connect those dots to create my line. Okay, the next thing that we're asked to do is actually to plot the velocity vector at the point 3, 0. Well, here's the point 3, 0, right here. And I know that my velocity vector is 3I plus j, which is going to be moving right along that curve. And the norm is 10, so the length of that velocity vector will be the square root of 10. The final thing we need to do is to plot the acceleration, but that's just the 0 vector at the point 0, 3. And so I really don't have any vector to draw at all. I hope that was helpful. Thanks.